Using your questions to get back in the habit of posting, and Michelle's wants to know about finding your voice without your writing just sounding like whatever you're reading, and how I edit for flow within my books. Finding your voice as a writer is one of those things that I think we all worry about, and unfortunately, I genuinely don't think there's an easy answer to that challenge. I once heard someone describe aspiring artists as meat grinders, with us shoving all of the things we consume, our life experiences, our thoughts about the world, our passions, our fears, and very possibly what we ate the night before into one end with the hope that whatever emerges from the other is something unique and palatable. And I actually think there's some truth to that, but it does mean that finding your voice requires two things: depth and honesty. Depth comes from what kind of art we consume and the way we look at it. I've spoken before that I believe that it's important to read diversely, and why I absolutely believe that to include creators with a different culture, gender expression, ethnicity, that kind of thing that we have. I also believe that to mean stretching outside your comfort zone with genre, format, and style. You should be reading broadly and well. You should be digging into art styles and formats to which you wouldn't normally gravitate. And what's more important, you should be thinking about what the artist did well and how they went about doing it. Look, if all you stuff into your meat grinder is hot dogs, you can probably guess how that ghastly sausage is going to taste. And if you don't understand which of your ingredients made the result actually tasty, you're not going to be able to replicate it. The next thing I mentioned is honesty, and this is so much harder. If all we do as artists is to chop and screw the stories we consume, it's going to feel a little hollow and derivative. But when we weave some of our own pain and passion into the pages, we create something wholly unique that cannot easily be replicated. And all of this comes about with time. Look, the very first story I wrote was about as original as a Xerox, but as I continued, as I learned to put together sentences that made me stop and stare at the page, my writing wandered further from the safe paths of what I've grown up reading and took its first few steps into the unexplored. Great writing needs more than a fat Goodreads account and the ability to quote Shakespeare at your increasingly regretful date. Great writing should feel like a discovery. It should be something that makes you realize that had the author not lived the life they did, made the choices they made, chosen the paths that they wandered, this thing you hold in your hands could not and would not exist. Your voice is unique because you are unique. And the more you write, the more confident you'll feel in showing a bit more of who you are. And it's riskier. There's a comfort in the familiar, and I'm not immune from picking up an author who's reliable and predictable when I want to disconnect from the world, but those kind of books will never make me think more about what I want to say and how I want to say it. And the books that do are the ones that make you realize just how extraordinary the honesty of an artist's voice can actually be. I'll talk about editing for flow in another video, but if you have thoughts about how authors can find their voice, please drop them in the comments below, and I hope each of you go make something weird, wonderful, and real.